My parents divorced when I 27 was 7. My dad and mom both met their spouses within a couple of years of the divorce. I met my dad's wife first. I was introduced to her within 4 months of their relationship, and she made it clear from the get-go she wanted a mother-son relationship with me. My dad told me that's the game. You don't have to like it, but when your parents marry someone, they become your parents too. They mentioned when they married 18 months later that calling her mom would be the right thing to do, and she told me repeatedly how it hurt her feelings that I didn't want to, and then she insisted that I call her ma'am if I wouldn't call her a mom name. With my mom's husband, it was so different. He started out asking me about video games and art, and he told me he hoped we could be friends and maybe family in the future, but that friendship was good too. When my dad and his wife were pushing the whole mom thing, I had asked him what he wanted me to call him. He said there was no way to wear out his name, so I was free to use that or his childhood nickname that only his favorite people got to use. I used his name for a few more months, but by the time he was living with me and mom, I was using the nickname. When I was 11, Dad and his wife moved to another town to take care of her parents, so I was every other weekend with them after the move. They wanted me to move with them, but I didn't want to, and I knew my dad's wife disliked my mom afterward. She used to tell my dad and her friends when I was with them that mom was selfish for hogging me and preventing me from seeing her as my mom. At the same time, my mom's husband would listen to me vent about dad and her, but never spoke a word, and sometimes even reminded me that even if I felt like he preferred his wife, he still loved me. My dad and his wife had 3 daughters together. Mom and her husband have 5 kids. I think dad's wife only having girls deprived her of the son she always wanted, and it made her want me to be her son even more. But today I really don't care for her, and if dad were dead or they were divorced, she would get no invite to my wedding at all. While my mom's husband is one of my favorite people, my dad's wife has been all up my butt about what she'll be doing at the wedding and how she should be treated the same as my mom. She's just as much my parents, etc. I said she wasn't, and she was not going to be a parent of the groom. That she's dad's +1, just like mom's husband is her +1. She said it wasn't fair to compare him, and she's my second mom. I told her I would rather give him the title of parent of the groom than her, and she needed to accept she would never be a mother of the groom. She cursed a whole lot at me and told me I was an ungrateful little brat. Your stepfather sounds like a wonderful man, while stepmother has serious mental issues to treat you like that. It's all about her and nothing about you. Good for you for standing up for what you want and need. Too bad your dad can't do the same. Not the idiot. She's forcing the relationship on you, whereas your mom's buff is trying to actually get to know you. You're not obligated to call her mom. She needs to back off a bit and maybe get to know you so the relationship is more genuine. Your dad is off for also trying to force you to accept his wife. I mean, he got with her after 4 months. Story Hub. My husband is one of 3 siblings, and they usually rotate who hosts Christmas. It's usually the same people who go every year, give or take a few. It is my husband and I with our 2 kids, his sister and husband with their 3 kids, his younger brother and his daughter, his mom and dad, grandma, usually an aunt and uncle, and maybe a cousin or 2. Not to mention his brother-in-law's parents, and maybe a sibling come too. I really don't want to sound like I'm this type of person because I don't judge anybody on their house size or their wealth. But the issue is that his sister's house is so fucking tiny it's uncomfortable for everyone there. It actually isn't even an individual house, but it is half of a duplex type. There will be about 20 people coming this year, and I just think it's ridiculous for her to insist on hosting. They also have a large Great Dane that is on top of everyone. Well, actually, everyone is on top of everyone. I shit you not that half of the guests have to sit on the living room floor to eat. Usually, the older relatives sit at the 4-person dining table, a few people sit on the couch, and the rest of us are standing or sitting on the floor with our plates of food. Oh, and the last big kicker is that there is only one bathroom that constantly smells like shit. My kids always complain about going to this aunt's house because of the reasons I listed. I am siding with them, and I said I would talk to Dad about us volunteering to host. We don't live in a mansion, but we can comfortably fit all the guests, and we have more than one bathroom. Husband doesn't want to because he says it will hurt his sister's feelings, and she already knows how poor they are, and this would be rubbing it in her face. I don't think that should be the case. I think she should want the family to be comfortable. I'm sure she must know we don't love sitting on the floor in that cramped house. I'm not sure if I sound like a spoiled bitch asshole right now or if I'm right. My TA. Instead of dismissing your SIL as being inadequate to host, why don't you offer to bring over a folding table and some chairs? You can help to make her house more comfortable. Now really, have you considered letting your SIL host the event at your house? I know that sounds kinda weird, but it might be the best solution. She gets to plan the meal and everything, and everyone else gets more square feet. If you're enjoying the video, drop a like. I'm 32, I've been with my husband, I'm 33, for 7 years. During this time, we've been fairly close. We don't have any kids, since I'm not a big fan of them, but he's always taken good care of me. 2 weeks ago, his grandmother died peacefully in her sleep. We were both very close with her, me especially. My family-in-law haven't been very accepting of me, and she was the only one who really took care to know me better. We had similar tastes in fashion, jewelry, and makeup, and we really bonded discussing different products. Naturally, my husband and I were both very upset when we heard the news. However, I think her funeral helped us both get the closure we needed. Now, here comes the part where I think I might have been the ah. In his grandmother's will, she gave him all her jewelry and me nothing. We were both quite surprised by this, as what would he have to do with jewelry? He said it would probably be because they had fun dressing up in it when he was a kid. But I was a little skeptical of this, as what use would he have for it as a fully grown adult? I told him he should just give it to me as I would probably use it more anyway, and if it was his it would just be put somewhere gathering dust. He told me that wasn't what he wanted, and he wanted it for nostalgia purposes. I thought that was ridiculous, and I told him as much. He then got very upset with me, saying this was the only thing he got in the will, and he wanted to keep it for himself. He then said that I was being insensitive, and I should just let him have the jewelry. I left it that in the moment, but later I told him I thought he was being selfish and inconsiderate of my needs. He's been cold with me ever since, and I've been doing the same. I think he should at least apologize to me for being so greedy, as he wouldn't even let me have one necklace. YTA sorry. Grandmother is barely cold in her grave, and you're after the one thing she chose to lead to her grandson. YTA, and greedy, and totally insensitive. You have known the woman for 7 years, he has known her for 33. He looks in the mirror, and maybe sees her eyes staring back at him. Or maybe he sees her nose or hair color. She is a part of him. He has 26 years of memories of her that do not include you. But you are more concerned about getting your hands on her jewelry. Back off, and maybe if you are apologetic, he will let you borrow a piece. But these are his possessions, not yours, and he should not give you a single piece. Story Hub.